Now, police are investigating the racist abuse sent to the Sunderland winger Romain Mundle on Instagram this weekend. Northumbria police received a complaint and are assisting the UK Football Policy Unit and Sunderland with their inquiries. Well, Mundle deactivated his Instagram account yesterday. A spokesperson for Northumbria Police told us here at Sky Sports News that they are investigating. Now, we have contacted Meta to see what, if any, action is being taken against the offending users. Well, Mundle was one of several players targeted by online racist abuse this weekend. Hannibal Mejbri, Wesley Fofana and Tolo Arokodare, the others. In Scotland, the Rangers duo, Djeidi Gassama and Emmanuel Fernandez, were also racially abused. Well, Rangers have tonight released a statement labelling the racist abuse sent to Gassama and Fernandez as unacceptable. And they have said this. Following yesterday's game, Djeidi Gassama and Emmanuel Fernandez were subjected to racist abuse on their Instagram accounts. For any player, opening a phone and seeing abuse tied to the colour of their skin is simply unacceptable. The content has been reported to Meta and will be reported to Police Scotland. The accounts appear to be anonymous and are not connected to the club in any way. That may make action harder to take, but it does not lessen the seriousness of what happened or the responsibility of the platform involved. Our immediate priority is the well-being of the players involved. We're in direct contact with Djeidi and Manny and have offered our full support both now and through any future judicial process. We're proud that they stood up for themselves by highlighting this vile abuse last night. Manny and Djeidi represent Rangers with commitment and pride. Every time they step onto the pitch, they do so on behalf of this club and our fans. Many supporters have already reached out with messages of support. We welcome that backing. It reflects what this club stands for: pride in the shirt, respect for those who wear it, and a commitment to stand together.
We have a full infrastructure, an investigation team in place. We work with our social media platforms, who absolutely are part of the problem, but they're also part of the solution. And we've also got key stakeholders that we work with to make sure that we can identify those keyboard warriors that think that it's a safe place to hide. And we'll do everything we can to make sure that we identify them and bring them to justice.
Right, we're joined now by the Kick It Out CEO, Sam Okafor. Sam, very good evening. Right, how do you reflect on this avalanche of online racism this weekend?
Well, good evening, Mike, and thanks for having us on. I think what we've seen over the weekend has just been absolutely shocking to see just a number of players that continue to face discrimination for simply doing their jobs, Mike. I think what we've seen over the weekend is a reflection of what we've seen actually all throughout the season, right at the start with Jess Carter. And then we've then also, we've had a 45% increase in overall increase in discrimination reporting to Kick It Out so far this season. That's across online, in stadiums and grassroots. And particularly in the online space, we've had a third increase when compared to this time last season. So you can clearly see that the reporting to us are on an increase. So this weekend is a picture of what we've seen all throughout the season.
Is racism increasing in stadiums as well?
I think across the piece, we're seeing an increase, 45% increase, as I mentioned, that we've seen across online, in stadiums and at grassroots levels. And you can clearly see that fans are having none of it and are calling it out, having the courage to call it out. We're also seeing that from players having the courage to call out discrimination, and it's important that when they do call it out that they are supported. And it's great to see that the clubs have backed the players with good statements and supporting them as they've had the courage to come out and share the abuse that they faced as well. So we are seeing an overall increase when we compare the reports we've had into Kick It Out this time this time so far this season compared to the previous season.
Sam, we've seen Sir Jim Ratcliffe make his comments on immigration. We saw Jose Mourinho blame racism on the victim. Do people of that stature empower others to be racist?
Well, actually, when you have leaders with such influence and such power, and they use the language that we've seen over the recent week or so, it clearly, obviously has empowers people, emboldens people to say things that they wouldn't normally say. Well, you'd like to think they wouldn't normally say it, but clearly they have a huge responsibility as leaders in influential positions to be mindful of the language that they use, to be mindful in what they say and how they stamp down discrimination. Their tone and the language that they use is really important, because clearly if they can say things in their roles, then clearly it empowers other people to feel that they can use similar languages, and I think that clearly plays a part in what we're seeing in terms of increase in reported discriminations into us.
Now, Wolves' social media accounts took pretty unusual step of publishing the abuse that Tola Arokodare was subjected to, and they did it uncensored. What did you make of that?
Mike, I think there'll be different views on this. I think that some people will have a view that actually they should have, not included those posts, and some will have a view that actually you should do it and it makes it more transparent. I'm of the view that actually these are what players are facing. Having it out in the open, raising awareness of the discrimination that players are having to deal with on a regular basis is the right thing to do. And I think for me, it shines a light on just the abuse that players are having to do for simply doing their jobs.
Now, UEFA has provisionally suspended Benfica's Gianluca Prestiani for one match. How do you react to that?
Well, look, UEFA have clearly made their decision based on the evidence that they have. Clearly, there is an ongoing investigation, so I would be limited in what I can say. But what I would say to it, though, is that when you have a player who makes a comment with their shirt covering over their mouth, you then see the reaction of another player, then actually I think you can draw some pretty quick conclusions in that. So clearly I want to be limited in what I can comment on because there is an ongoing investigation, but those are my initial thoughts.
Sam, I want to put you on the spot because every time there's an incident, your organisation releases a statement or someone like you comes on, says, oh, it's terrible, they're very naughty. It's clearly not working. So my question to you is, what is the point of Kick It Out?
Mike, I wouldn't say it's not working. And I think it's important to remember how change happens, and particularly when there's complex matters. We all like to live in a world where, change happens on a one and done. It doesn't quite happen like that. And organisations like us is about raising awareness, about driving accountability. It's about holding those to account. It's about calling out the people who have got power to do something about it and, making sure that they do and keep putting the pressure on. It's about working with the governing bodies and other organisations to ensure that we continue to put the pressure on, that action is taken. So I know we all like to think that actually it's about one and done and just one statement will solve everything, but actually it's about the continuous focus, the continuous putting pressure on the system to drive the change that we want to see. It's about working together to put pressure on the social media platforms for them to be able to provide better tools for users to be able to use their platforms free from discrimination. And so actually, change doesn't happen overnight, but it's about putting pressure on the system and working collectively to drive the real change. And that's what we all want to see.
We do, Sam, but we started this and you said that instances of racism are on the rise. So something isn't working. Now, your organisation, funded by the Premier League, when someone from the Premier League, let's say Sir Jim Ratcliffe, says something like he did, are you working with one hand tied behind your back?
Absolutely not, Mike. I think, we are absolutely committed, and I know the Premier League are absolutely committed to working together to tackle discrimination, whether that's in stadiums, whether that's online. We're all committed to tackling it head on. So I don't think that the funding plays any impact on our desire to end discrimination and to work collectively to do that. And we'll continue to do that. And that's really, really important.
It absolutely is. Sam, wish you the very best with that. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much.